There you are, Brian. My God, you are a man that just knows how to entertain the imagination of people.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, I can't peel myself away from this book. There's just so much information in it. I giggle, I get more interested in different subjects. It creates conversation in my world, and I owe it all to you, dude.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's a good gig to get to do what I do. I get to find fun stuff, and I get to share it with people, and I get to share information in a happy way. I couldn't be happier.
You know, before the internet, radio people had to do their own research and they had to dig into things, and we relied on books just like this one. So I hope the world of radio realizes that we need this book, because when you're doing morning show radio, you want to give that little shock and awe surprise to your listeners so they keep coming back.
Sure, yeah. You want to give those little bits to, it's a nice little jolt to hear a fun fact. You can repeat that later in the day to somebody. I appreciate that.
All right, I want to know who designed Uncle Sam, and would they change it if they could today?
I don't know if they could, because it's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different things. Like, I always kind of thought that Uncle Sam was like dated to the American Revolution. Like, some colonists like put it up on a poster to recruit people. It's not. It's like it wasn't. The image of Uncle Sam that we have now kind of dates to the late 1800s. So in the War of 1812, this meat packer from Troy, New York, named Samuel Wilson, was the official beef supplier to the troops. During the War of 1812, the invasion of England, rather, and he stamped U.S. on all the boxes going out. And then somebody in the factory was like, what does the U.S. mean? And somebody in the factory joked, it stands for Uncle Sam, because that's what we call our boss. So that story spread as the meat got distributed, to where troops just started calling America in general Uncle Sam in kind of this familiar way. And I think it's probably because, in 1812, the country was brand new. We didn't really have this, we didn't have a lot of history yet. We didn't have these legends and myths, like England has King Arthur and, this long succession of kings. We didn't really have anything. So we kind of needed that legendary figure, that myth. And so after the War of 1812, England, they kind of jumped on Uncle Sam as a thing to make fun of us for. And editorial cartoonists would make fun of America in editorial cartoons by depicting him as this, gargantuan, garish man, essentially made of flags. And and they all laughed at us the way the British did. But back in America, they would see these cartoons and they're like, you know what? Yeah, let's own that. Yeah, we are patriotic.
Man.
What of it?
Wow.
So it just so all these artists started drawing Uncle Sam as this, guy with the, red, white, and blue clothes, a big, stars and stripes top hats, and giant Grateful Dead pants, and then by the end of by the 19th century, editorial cartoonist Thomas Nast kind of solidified the common image of Uncle Sam. So all that old stuff about Uncle Sam is it's not actually from Revolutionary days.
Wow.
It's all after the fact. Yeah.
When you locate an oddity or something that we don't know, what goes into the fact checking? I mean, I would love to be a fly on your business day wall.
Oh gosh, it's so fun. Like it's just a constant stream of information, because we've got a research library of just old books that we've collected from every yard sale and thrift store imaginable. Our moms send us newspaper clippings. We read the internet. We scour everything every day. We watch a lot of documentaries. We're all trivia hounds, so we just joyfully consume and collect and kind of curate and set aside this info, and then we kind of all put it together when we think we have enough to constitute a good page. Like, we had all this stuff about America. We're like, let's just do an America book. Like, we won't do all the science and pop culture this time. But the fact checking is a trip, because you have to go back to books. You have to go back to old books and find multiple sites. And then sometimes you find out something isn't true, but then the true story is just as good. Like the old adage that the Inuit had 100 words for snow. Well, it turns out that there's no one group of people called the Inuit, and they only ever had 5 words for snow, but over time that just kept growing. Like, somebody reported that there were 10 words for snow, and then the next person said there were 20, and then the next person said there were 50. So, like, you find stories when you're fact-checking other stuff, and it's just there's always stories out there, and there's always interesting angles, and it's so fun to discover them.
Well, the one that I've been bragging about for the past week has been the JFK story about him wanting to buy the Philadelphia Eagles. I've talked with a lot of sports fans, and they're going, "What? I've never heard of that story."
Yeah, nobody knew about this until the 1980s when the then current owner of the Eagles went to Washington, D.C., and he met Senator Ted Kennedy, who told him, my brother was going to buy your football team. It was in October 1962. JFK was thinking about, what if I don't win the election of 1964? I'm super rich. I'm famous. What am I going to do after that? So he decides he's going to buy the Philadelphia Eagles when it was still kind of possible to get into the NFL. It was still kind of a burgeoning league. It was small. There wasn't that many teams. But he decided this and started making plans right before the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that just kind of permanently distracted him. And then he got just more involved in politics, and then he was assassinated. So that obviously negated everything. But what a trip to have the Kennedy family own the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm loving me some Johnny Appleseed now, because, we always heard that little fairy tale when we were growing up as kids, but man, you give us a different side of the story when it comes to Johnny.
I love the Johnny Appleseed story. That's like just American ingenuity, and then also just like, we got to dig deeper with all the stuff that they taught us in elementary school. Johnny Appleseed sounds made up, but no, it's a real guy. He hiked across the frontier planting apple trees, and it wasn't to feed people with apples. Like, this is the 1800s. The water wasn't that safe to drink, so people got most of their hydration each day from alcohol. Yeah. So all of those apple trees that he planted were to make cider and to make applejack. So those were liquor trees that Johnny Appleseed was planting.
So now I wanted to not dive into this story here with my reading eyes. What I wanted to do was I wanted to see if I was right in the observation. Was it meat preservation that created the corn dog?
No, it wasn't.
I was wrong. I was wrong.
No. It does seem like that, though.
Yes.
So many of those things are based on that. No, a guy driving through Oklahoma, he's about to open a restaurant in Texas. He's driving through Oklahoma, and he ate a hot dog baked into a piece of cornbread. Oh. And he thought, this would be good, but what if we deep fried it instead? Because he's absolutely correct. Everything's better deep fried. So he goes back home, and he calls it a crusty cur. He douses a hot dog in like a wet cornmeal batter, sticks a stick in it so it can be portable, and he calls it a crusty cur. And his wife says, that's a terrible name, so let's call it a corn dog instead.
Please tell me that you're going to be turning this into some sort of special for NPR or Netflix or Hulu, because everything you have here, you have got hundreds of episodes of facts that need to be on moving pictures.
That would be cool. That would be a lot of fun.
Because the things that you cover here, first of all, there's a basketball court in the Supreme Court. Why? Do they, I never see these guys as being athletic.
Well, it's mainly for they built it in the 1940s when basketball was kind of taking off. It's mainly for the large support staff, the maintenance crew, the employees, the cafeteria workers. But they call it the highest court in the land, which is just perfect. But occasionally, Supreme Court justices have been known to play a pickup game. But like when I think of this, all I can picture is just these elderly judges in their robes, dribbling between the legs and doing a Kareem-style skyhook.
You got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you, Brian.
Oh, I love it. I'd love to. Thank you. You're great. It's a great show.
You be brilliant today, okay?
Oh, you too. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.